Hello, this is Laura Susan Johnson once again with Period Pieces. This is my semi-new and hopefully better, starting with this video, movie review series here on YouTube. If I can stop being William Shatner for a few moments. Speaking of which, I'm going to do sci-fi today, but not Star Trek. Star Trek is among my top 3 favorite sci-fi genres. What are the other 2 that tie for first place? Alien and Terminator. My mind's been on Terminator this past day or two. I finally broke down and watched enormous chunks, not the whole thing, but enough of the travesty Terminator Genisys. For one thing, fuck you for taking a beautiful word and wrecking it. Fuck you for stealing a really good word from The Wrath of Khan. And fuck you for making this piece of shit. Whoever you are out there. Why? Who, what, where, when, and most of all, why? This is a piece of shit. This is the dumbest, most pointless, most ridiculous excuse for a reboot I have ever seen. I thought the Star Trek reboots were ridiculous. They had fun stuff in them, okay? The warp speed effects were fun. The new cast was fun. The stories were butchered as fuck. But the new cast and the warp speed and, you know, some of the acting was off, but never mind that. Just let me get to the point. Terminator Genisys is a large, steaming, freshly dumped pile of dog shit. In a few months, it'll start being a moldering pile of dog shit, but right now it's a freshly dumped, steaming pile of dog shit that I just stepped in. It's a parking lot mushroom. It's diaper gravy. It's attracting shiny green blowflies. It's disgusting. It's an absolute abomination. What excuse was there to make this aside from showing off somebody's CGI skills? Or besides trying at this last gasp at giving Arnold some kind of a Hollywood career back? Arnold, everybody knows who you are, okay? You don't have to worry about it. We all know who you are. We all love you. Don't worry about it. We don't care if you had some personal problems. The Terminator ended after movie number 2. No one gives a shit about movie number 3 or 4. And no one gives a shit about the series. And certainly, this last thing that they dumped on my doorstep for me to step in and get all over my feet. This is the worst concoction ever. I have nothing nice to say about this. Now, I want to go on record as saying I have nothing against Jai Courtney. I don't hate the man, as some critics have said. He's a person. He's an actor. He's probably a nice person. But there's no presence there. I am not sold on anything. He's too healthy. He has to be told what's going on by Sarah? Fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. Muscle-bound, healthy, with a little itty-bitty scar on his back. He doesn't look scared. He doesn't look paranoid. He doesn't look disoriented. This shot-by-shot remake of the first 15-20 minutes of the classic, beautiful Diamond in the Rough 1984 movie. The punks, instead of Arnold mercilessly killing them, this other Terminator comes to get Arnold. And, I mean, just, come on, leave Bill Paxton alone. I love Bill Paxton's Sid Vicious or Johnny Rotten hair and his gap tooth and fuck you, asshole. Broken bottle. He's the one who taught Arnie his language lessons. Michael Biehn is the only Kyle Reese there will ever be, folks. Ever. He's sweaty, grimy. He stinks because he's wearing a homeless man's piss-covered, probably shit-covered, booze-soaked clothing. He's running. He's terrified. He's disoriented. He has no idea what green grass looks like. He doesn't know what dirt looks like. He doesn't know what a waterfall looks like. There was deleted scenes that even further proved what kind of a world he really came from. And if you want even more goodies, there's a book out there. There's a novelization of the movie by Randall Frakes and Bill Wisher, or William Wisher. It's a novelization, just the Terminator, based on the screenplay. I mean, Kyle Reese is iconic. He's a character who has been butchered by this fucking garbage movie that came out last year. There is no reason for this piece of shit to exist. Michael Biehn, I don't care if he never got an Oscar. I don't care if he never did a whole lot of other stuff that really stuck out in Hollywood. As far as I'm concerned, this is a legendary performance. It's a legendary character. It's beloved. This is one of the most beloved people in fiction, folks. Jai Courtney sells absolutely nothing. No hatred towards him personally, but this is bullshit. Emilia Clarke, I'm sure she's a great actress. She's British after all. I do like British actors a lot better than Americans for the most part. And I already know that Jai Courtney is not American. I guess he's Australian, New Zealand, somewhere not American. But again, I don't give a shit. Emilia Clarke looks like a 12-year-old with a machine gun. It's just not convincing me one bit. Sarah Connor is not a badass bitch until T2. And then she's the badass bitch of all badass bitches. She and Ellen Ripley are the two badass bitches of all time. And they're always created by Jim Cameron. He knows badass bitches. The real Sarah Connor is vulnerable, terrified. She doesn't know who in the hell to believe at first. This is a psycho she's riding with for the first hour or so that she knows him. What the hell is this? She doesn't know. She's been yanked out of this comfortable world she's known all her life and suddenly thrust into a nightmare. Her eyes are constantly brimming with tears. She's just out of her mind with fear and disorientation herself. They're both on the run from a relentless killing monster, a machine, the ultimate predator. No predator movie, quote-unquote predator movie, can outdo the Terminator. He is the ultimate predator. He is chasing two prey animals. He doesn't care who he gets as long as he gets those two. And the one he wants the most is Sarah Connor. She's the main character of this franchise. And Linda Hamilton, basically, she's the only Sarah Connor. I appreciate the efforts of, oh, what's her name? She's in the series, the short-lived TV series that tried to give some kind of respect. And I appreciate the efforts it did in spite of the ridiculousness of T3 and the failure of T-Salvation. But she's a British actress, too, and she's also in Game of Thrones. I'm sorry, her name is probably right on the tip of my tongue, or at least in the back, but there's nothing they could do. T3 could have been a good sequel, because I know that there was, according to some reviews, I didn't catch it myself, in T2, a piece of Arnold's arm was left behind. The Terminator's arm got stuck somewhere, and before they lowered him into the molten level, the arm was still stuck somewhere. Whether or not they could have taken some technology and developed something from that, I'm not sure, but they still messed up T3. They turned it into a stupid travesty. I wasn't angry at Christiana Loken at all. I thought she did very well as a killing female Terminator, although the big booby inflation was stupid shit. And maybe it was part of her Terminator programming to be, you know, savvy as a female. I'll just trick this cop by showing off big titties or something. But it's still just, it's like, come on. Just Hollywood and females, you know? Damn. You can't escape the same shit over and over and over again unless it's with Jim Cameron. Jim Cameron's the only director that doesn't seem to utilize titties in every movie. I originally gave, I hate to admit this or confess this, but I originally gave T3, or Terminator Rise of the Machines, I originally gave that sort of a favorable rating on the IMDb, so this could be a then versus now review as well for at least T3. I completely recant that, except for Christiana Loken. I had nothing against Claire Danes so much. She wasn't that bad, but again, this whole movie could have been, if they had to do a sequel based on the arm being left behind, why not do an intelligent one? Not where Arnold uses those stupid, crazy sunglasses and looks completely ridiculous and completely distracts from the narrative and the tone and the mood of the Terminator franchise. I mean, the franchise is meant to be dark, gritty, somber. And the Terminator 3, that came across as almost a parody of itself when you think about it. So when I was watching, when I gave that semi-favorable review, might have been 6 or 7 stars out of 10, I think I was in a favorable mood that day, but I've done a lot of reflecting since then, and I've come to realize it's just not a good movie. Terminator 3 is not good. I've tried to watch T4, and I really can't fairly review that one at all, because I just found it so bad that I couldn't even sit through it. Terminator, the original in '84, 10 out of 10. Terminator 2, Judgment Day, 9 out of 10. I take away 1 star because although he was a brilliant child actor in many ways, he did do a lot of good acting in the movie. There were some shrill, obnoxious moments in Edward Furlong's performance that kind of distracted and took away. But otherwise, I would say 9.5 even out of 10. I mean, Edward Furlong, it was his very first role, really. So, I mean, I can't fault him too much. I mean, he did better than Jake Lloyd, really. And I really can't be hateful to Jake Lloyd either. Come on, people. He was a little boy. Be nice. They're just little kids. Hollywood's a really rotten place. Let's not try to add to it, okay? Moving on. And I'm not trying to be hateful myself. This is just a piece of shit movie that shouldn't have been made. I'm not trying to be hateful to the cast. I'm just saying, whose grubby, greedy hands decided to toy with this franchise? This awesome. I mean, they toyed with it enough. Can't you leave well enough alone? Stop kicking the dog. Stop kicking the dead horse. They already turned it into, they already tried to, you can't touch what was beautiful in the first place, but stop trying to taint it. Anyway, yeah. I'm sorry, I keep going off on tangents. Terminator 3 was a parody of itself. Terminator 4, unwatchable. And this is just absolute abomination. Let me touch one more thing. Or maybe a couple more things. Because I'm really long-winded. If you don't like it, you can always click off. The Terminators in Genisys aren't scary. Because there's so many of them. Who gives a shit? It's not scary anymore. We've seen them so many times by this point in life. Maybe little 2-year-olds will get scared of them if they're accidentally left alone with a DVD or a DVR playing. Whatever. Bad boys, what you gonna do? That sounds like this is almost worse parody of your own franchise. It's almost a worse parody of your own franchise. The love scene in the original movie, it was authentic. The chemistry was real. The acting was beautiful. It was skillful. It was actual actors doing their job. And in the new movie, it was like, I'm going to put on some 70s booty pleasing music because I've got a son to conceive and it's your duty to please this booty. I already know everything and I had to tell you everything. And just in closing, we go from this to this. Is there anything more to say? I mean, I've already said probably 30 minutes plus worth, but just make your own conclusion. Compare these last two pictures. This versus this. Join me next time, folks. I don't know what I'll be reviewing, but I know it'll be something very interesting. Thank you for joining me. Period Pieces with Laura Susan Johnson.